Right, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. Today we are here for the quadruple header as we always are on a Sunday morning. A fantastic fixture scheduling as always, and our attention to start with will be with Manchester City taking on London City. This is a really important game now. I thought yesterday we may get the title race close up a little bit. It's now all but over, and City today could all but seal it. A win today would see them go 9 points clear at the top of the WSL with an opportunity to move 12 points above Chelsea next Sunday. So City are in the driving seat now. And well, with how London City have performed so far this season, but particularly in recent weeks under Eder Maestre, you'd have to be a very brave man, or person to be fair, to bet against Man City in this game. So it should be a comfortable one for City, but it should be an interesting contest nonetheless. GT, welcome to the stream. Nigel, welcome to the stream. Very confident for today. I have to say, I'm very surprised we're in this position. I thought after Wednesday night that was a good indication that we still had a title race on our hands. Yesterday's capitulation puts us in a completely different situation where, yeah, I don't see any team making up 9 points. And I think City's to, I don't even think it's City's to lose now. I think City have won the title. I think... And City have been fantastic this season, but they've capitalised so well on a down season for pretty much every team in the league. Tottenham doing similarly so, and they're now in a position where it doesn't even feel like they're capitalising anymore. They have been so immense this season. You'd expect a win today with how London City have been playing. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this game pans out. H said City better capitalise after we paid them back for what Steiner did that 1 year. Yeah, absolutely. Smooth operator with an early prediction in the live chat. We will get into those later. And Phil says, hi all, welcome to the stream, Phil. I hope you had a nice Saturday, because at least someone will have then. Let's get into the lineups for today's game. We'll start with the host, London City Lionesses, because we are at the Copper Jacks Community Stadium in London, and we'll start with the home side. It looks like a 4-2-3-1 potentially today for London City. In goal, Elena Lete. A back four of Fernandez, Sangare, Kennedy and Pattinson. A pivot Lena Perez alongside Rodar. Godfrey on one wing, Corrales on the other, Aslani on the 10 and Goodwin up front. Now I wouldn't be surprised if this is more like what we're used to seeing from London City, with Corrales playing left wing back, Pattinson then slotting into some sort of left centre half position, Fernandez then operating as almost a right wing back. But it's interesting to see what London City are doing today. It's again another tweak, it's another rotation of what we're trying to see Eder Maestre build there. We thought Maestre would come in and use a very similar setup to what we saw him use in Liga F. We've not seen that at all. They were very poor against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago. Their performance against Sunderland wasn't much better. This, I think, will be a really tough game once again. And while they are unbeaten under Eder Maestre, and something has to be said for that, and the fact they haven't conceded yet, they played a side bottom of the league, who really should have won that game, and a side in the division below, who you could have made an argument, or you can still make an argument, for them should have won that game. So I think it's going to be difficult, really difficult for London City, particularly their record against big sides this season. They were considerably beaten by Chelsea, by Manchester City, by Arsenal and Manchester United in the first half of the season. I wouldn't expect the second half to be any different. If anything, I think that factor could be extenuated by the fact that they've changed their manager. There seems to be unrest at London City. We'll see what happens there. In terms of the selection choices then, Grace Kayora dropping out of the side. That's a big decision from Maestre. You're benching the world record transfer for a game against the table toppers. That's a big decision. I don't think it's necessarily the wrong decision. I don't think Grace Kayora has had a very good season at all. I think she's really struggled to adapt to the league. I think she's really struggled to fit into that London City system. And I have to say, I'm not surprised to see Maestre look elsewhere. I thought Maria Perez would be a player we see him lean on a lot more. I think that is more his style of player, a very technically gifted central midfielder. Julia Rodar, I really like him there. Going to be a bit of the workhorse. And I think that midfield too is what they should have had from the start of this season. But they went and signed Katie Zellum, and they've been using Saki Kumagai, who's really struggled. And they went and spent loads of money on Grace Kayora. And they've just got this mess of a midfield that doesn't really function. I think this will function today. The problem is they're playing against Man City. And City's midfield and City's intensity off the ball will make it very difficult for them to do anything. But if they can get those players on the ball in the right areas, if they can get Asllani on the ball in the final third, Corrales driving that ball up the left-hand side, perhaps exploiting the space left by Kirsten Kasparai, then maybe City will be threatened by the hosts. But I look at how London City have played so far this season. I look at their lack of bite in midfield. I look at their lack of defensive structure and organisation in there. I look at the fact that Alana Kennedy is starting in the WSL, and there are concerns for me across the board there. So I think I'd be very surprised if they got anything from today's game. But you never know with football. As I always say with the WSL, it's the league where anyone can beat anyone on their day. I think that remains a fact, regardless of how difficult this will be today. Anyone can beat anyone. And I think London City can beat Manchester City. It just feels very, very unlikely. As for Man City then, let's take a look at the City side. It is a 4-2-3-1 as always for Manchester City. In goal, Ayaka Yamashita has had a few messy moments this season, but all round a very strong campaign. A back four then of Kasparai, Rose, Knack and Greenwood, their strongest backline. A midfield pivot of Blinker de Bruyne and Yui Hasegawa. No surprises there again. On one wing, Carolyn. On the other, Lauren Hemp. Miedemar in the 10 and Shaw leading the line. It's full strength for City, and it's what they can afford to do because they are in a fantastic position. Yes, they're out of the League Cup, but ultimately, I don't think there's many City fans who care too much. Of course, they want to win as many trophies as possible, but this allows them to focus fully now on the WSL. And they've got the FA Cup fixtures, but I mean, Bournemouth wasn't a problem. I think their next round game, I can't remember who they're playing now off the top of my head, but I think it's comfortable again. So they won't have any issues with rotation, and what they can afford to do in the WSL, which no other side near the top of the table can do, except perhaps Tottenham, is they don't have to rotate, and they can keep playing this strongest 11. We're seeing Carolyn come back into side. That only makes them stronger. I mean, Sam Coffey on the bench today, we could see her debut. That only makes them stronger. So City can afford now to just play this strongest side, and yeah, I mean, it's ridiculously good, isn't it? They've been playing incredible football so far this season. I'd expect nothing different today. I'd expect them to dominate the possession stats. I'd expect them to have a lot of opportunities. They have been quite wasteful in recent weeks, and that will be a concern, especially when they play top teams. But they've done the job now, really. They can lose to City, Arsenal, and United, and to Chelsea, Arsenal, United, and they would still only be level on points with Chelsea, provided they win the rest of their games. And that relies on Chelsea beating Manchester United as well, which we haven't seen them do this season. So City are in a position now where they just have to beat the lower sides in the league. Short of a complete collapse from City against one of these lower teams, they don't even need to win against Chelsea, against Arsenal, against Manchester United. So I think it's absolutely theirs to wrap up. A win today seals it. If they lose to London City, it opens it up again. But as I say, I think the likelihood of that is extremely slim. So I would be surprised if we did see that today. But you never know what could happen there. Let's get your thoughts then on the lineup. There's been loads in the live chat that I've missed there when I was just talking about the side. But yeah, I thought Phil said, not overly, to be honest, in response to me saying, "Do you have a nice Saturday? Nice to get the win over you, but handing a title to City offsets it massively." Well, this is what I'm going to talk more about Chelsea and Arsenal a lot this week, I assume. It'll probably be, we usually spend about 20 minutes per game, or 15 minutes per game on the weekend roundup. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea Arsenal was half an hour or more by itself. There's a lot to talk about in that game. What I will say though is I didn't think Arsenal particularly good. And that's what really frustrated me. I don't want to say too much because, again, I think at this moment in time I'm still very frustrated about what happened. And I don't think much great analysis comes from an emotional perspective. But what I will say is I don't think Arsenal were particularly good. And I think Chelsea very much... It was Chelsea that lost the game rather than Arsenal that won it. Take nothing away from the result Arsenal achieved and how they capitalised on mistakes. But I didn't think it was Arsenal raising that standard. I thought it was Chelsea absolutely letting it slip. So... we'll see what happens for the rest of the season. But yeah, I thought that was just the only takeaway I'll give today. We'll talk more about it tomorrow's stream. I'm going to do a video, hopefully get that out before around Tuesday. We usually have a Wednesday video, but I want to get out before the Champions Cup games. So that should be out at some point this week. GT says LBB is on fire this season. Absolutely. There's a comment from Carl saying, very fond of Clinton and Lohman, but the way Blinker Brown is performing, they can sit on the bench. She isn't letting up. And this is the thing for City. I mean, there will be people saying, well, Lohman's not getting minutes. There's a very vocal Man United fan on Twitter who said this. I'm sure if anyone is on that app, they'll know who I'm talking about. But Lohman's not got many minutes. Coffey's coming in? How will that impact the squad? Clinton hasn't got many minutes either. But for me, that doesn't really matter yet. City are still competing in only 2 competitions this season now. They will rotate between the FA Cup and the WSL. They're also probably going to wrap up the title quite early this season, and that will give them the chance to rotate at the end of the campaign. Next season is when those players matter. City's biggest issue in the past has been that they don't rotate their team at all, mainly because they couldn't, mainly because they didn't have that strength and depth. What these kind of players give them is not, Coffey comes in and immediately just replace Blinkett Brown. It means that when we're looking forward to next season, and they're going to be in the Champions League, obviously they won't have League Cup football now, but they're going to be in the FA Cup and they're going to be in the WSL. And they want to compete across all 3 fronts. What we've seen from City in the past, particularly as recently as last season, so when they're in the Champions League, their squad was stretched way too thin and they really struggled to deal with that, and injuries piled up and problems came of that. What City are doing now is, with this January transfer window, what I think they'll continue to do into the summer is they are now building a team ready to compete on all fronts next season. And that's really important. I think we'll still see the natural drop-off for City. They're riding that wave. They're incredible at the moment. What we have seen, though, with most managers, and it's a pretty common theme, is that the manager comes in, they do something new in the league. I think we'll see the same with Tottenham as well, by the way. They do something new, they shock the league, they perform at this ridiculously high standard, and we see a bit of a drop-off in the second season. And I think they'll do the same, but I think by signing players and improving on what you've already built, they give themselves the best chance of that not being too severe a drop-off. Whereas I think other teams, we've seen them do, have a brilliant season, bring a new manager, have a brilliant season, and perhaps not build on that in the same way. I think when we look back at Arsenal summer, potentially even Chelsea summer, did they do enough to build on the successes of last season? Arguably not. So I think City are now in that position where they're going to use this January window and they'll use the summer window to build for next season, because this season's almost done. Like, we're into January now. The next game is in February the 1st, next Sunday. We're at the point in the season now where City are all but wrapping up this title. They're looking ahead, and that's really smart future planning. So we'll see what happens in that one. Right, players are out onto the field, and I completely forgot what time we were kicking off today, but it's 11:55, of course. So let's get into predictions. I will kick us off here in the studio. If you want to get involved in the live chat, let us know your scoreline prediction. I'm going to start, though. I think it'll be London City 0, Manchester City 7. I've watched London City a fair bit this season. I've watched Man City a lot this season. I want to see some goals. If we're going to watch, if I have to sit through, because Man City are really fun to watch, but from a Chelsea fan perspective, it's not very fun just watching them win games. But if I have to sit through watching Manchester City, I do want to see them score some goals today. I do want to see them, play well. So I'm going to say 7-0. I've not been impressed by London City this season, especially defensively. If this is a 4-back, something they haven't done at all this season, that's very experimentative in a game like this. So I don't think they'll be very good. But we'll have to see. Maybe London City will surprise me. I'm going to say 7-0. I'll say a hat-trick for Khadija Shaw. I'll say a brace for Viviana Miedema, a goal for Rebecca Nack, and a goal for Lauren Hemp. I think that adds up to 7, or it might have. Yeah, that adds up to 7. There we go. See what happens there. Zato says Man City get 2 red cards and London City win 4-0. Yeah, that would be one hell of a game. Nice says top 2 go straight into the league phase and third goes to the playoffs to qualify for it. Right. I'm not sure with the Champions League, to be fair. Because obviously this season was different because Arsenal won the Champions League last year, so they pushed up automatically into the league phase from third. So I think it is still, or they did get second in the end, to be fair. But I think it is still that top goes through automatically and then second and third. Oh, because it is the league phase now, so potentially second goes through automatically. I can't remember. We'll have to wait and see. Realistically, the WSL should have 4 Champions League spots, in my opinion. I think that the problem is the WSL is outgrowing every other league way too quickly, because all of the top 7, I would say, qualify for the Champions League in every other league. That for me is a simple fact. That Brighton team is 2nd or 3rd in the Liga F. Aston Villa would be, I think, competing for the title in the Frauen Bundesliga, particularly in the Premier League. So they're jumping above those other leagues so quickly now, the WSL, that it's difficult to then judge across into into the WSL compared to those top competitions. Let's get underway here today then. It is Manchester City in possession to get us started. Lisa Ben, the referee, and we'll wait for her whistle to start this Sunday morning's action. Viviana Miedemar from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle before getting us underway in this match. Still a delay to start here. I imagine they're just waiting for it to hit exactly 11:55. Referee looking over at the assistants. And sometime today, we will kick off. We will now get underway. Viviana Miedemar knocks the ball back. We're underway in this Sunday morning fixture. London City Lionesses taking on Manchester City. Man City looking to go 9 points clear at the top of the Women's Super League. And it's London City on the ball early here. Perez tries to play it through into Aslani, but is dispossessed, and City now can use possession. Knack. Back across to Rose. Plays it wide into Kirsten Kasperai. Looks to hit the touchline. Nice pass into Carolyn, who holds it up well, and it comes off Aslani, and that will be a Man City throw-in. London City have got to be disciplined today. It's something they haven't really been all season. But the way that Man City are going to play today, the way they're going to move the ball, London City have got to set up in a way that makes it difficult for City to break them down. That's going to be the big test, whether Eder Maestre can do something like that. And Hemp on the ball, goes back into Knack, and City look to move from left to right. Here's a Yamashita. And now Rose is caught on the ball there by Aslani. Brilliant stuff, though, from Rose. Manages to recover. Kasperai's touch is loose, though, but it is given as a foul. Rose deemed to be pulled back there by Aslani. So, yeah, I mean, it started how you would expect. City holding on to a lot of possession. London City struggling to win it back. And when they do, their attacks do look quite rushed. Miedemar. Greenwood now into Lauren Hemp. Holds onto the ball nicely, looks to turn Fernandez. It's knocked out of play. And that will be a Man City throw. Taken quickly, Miedemar now. That a slightly miscued pass. Kasper able to recover though. And now goes back to Yamashita. Knack. Here's Lauren Hemp. Drives the ball inside. That's a brilliant interception there from Perez. Aslani picks up on the ball, takes aim now, and that's a wild shot over the bar. And that a big opportunity wasted by London City. City loose here in possession. Hemp gets caught driving into trouble. Aslani then picks up on the ball, and she's got to hit the target for me. A player of her quality just leans back and miskicks it. Almost swipes at that ball. And sends it wide of the mark. So London City with the first opportunity of this match then. Unable though to test Ayaka Yamashita in the City net. Out towards the left hand side again. Miedemar. Back to Yamashita, who just looks to clip it forwards. Shaw will win that initial contact. It's going to drop though for Fernandez, who bizarrely gives it back to Khadija Shaw, and City can come forwards here. Shaw makes light work of Perez. Out to the left-hand side now. Greenwood tries to put the ball in, and it's blocked well. That's also what they've got to avoid today, London City. Those blatant errors in their own half, in their own third. You're under enough pressure as it is. They win the ball back there, and you immediately give the ball back to Khadija Shaw. That's what they've got to avoid today, London City. So many individual errors this season. On top of what has been a poor campaign for them, really, in terms of performances. Ball in, that's cleared away. Hemp now. Drives inside of the ball, pokes it into Viviana Miedemar. And that's seen out well. Jay, welcome to the stream. So let's go, ladies, 2-1. In which direction? If that has a London City to win prediction, I think that's the first one we've had. But to be fair, poll in chat, 15% backing London City. So there are some optimists here. 82% Man City and 2% going for a draw. And in attendance is Beth Mead and Mariona Caldente. Beth Mead here to support Viviana Miedemar, I'm assuming. Or Man City. Greenwoods. Now Hasegawa. That's blocked well. Blinkilda Brown plays it out to the left-hand side. Kasparai won't get there, and Pattinson does well to see her to the corner. Does have to knock it out of play now, though. Kasparai takes the throw quickly. And Carolyn. Tidy footwork. Pattinson does well. Excellent defensive work there from Poppy Pattinson to recover possession. And then it's cleared down the line by Maria Perez. Goodwin gets away from Rose, knocks it past Knack. That is clumsy from Rebecca Knack. And I think she's very lucky Rose got back round and covered her there. Because that was a rash challenge from Knack. Rose got caught way too easily, way too high. But the fact she manages to make that recovery run and get back in behind Knack, I'm not even sure she is. It's difficult because there's so much space between Goodwin and the goal. But there's an argument there that Knack is the last player. She's very wide though. I can see why the yellow card is given. If Harry was here, he'd be explaining all the rules. I think because of how wide that is on the pitch, it's not deemed as denying a goal score opportunity. Ball in from Corrales. Chance now. That's blocked away. Wildly hit by Perez, and there's a foul in the box anyway. But we've seen this from City before, where they can be opened on in transitional moments. London City there, very close to breaking them down. And actually, I have to say, first 6 minutes here, London City have been the better side. They've come in very physical, very positive, and actually playing some nice football. You know, before I'm accused of anti-City bias, everyone I think watching this is well aware of my feelings on London City so far this season. So, look, I don't think they've had a good season. This is a much better first 6 minutes than I've watched throughout the rest of their campaign. Sangare now to Yana Fernandez. And Goodwin down the line again. I think Knack will get there and knocks it back to her goalkeeper Yamashita. Zeta says that should have been the first red, Jack. Yeah, I'm sure. I think the ruling would be that it's too wide to be a red card because it's not. If she was central there, I think she's gone because you can see the clear line to goal. Here's Shaw. Into Viviana Miedemar. Wide now to Kasparai. London City need to adjust across. They do well. Carolyn into Hasegawa. Lifts it in behind. And Pattinson will try and see Carolyn across goal. And that is a big miss from Khadija Shaw. A player who's had a lot of chances missed this season, despite her incredible goal-scoring record. The ball's just lifted in behind, perfectly weighted by Yui Hasegawa. Carolyn puts it across the face of goal. It's a lovely dink. London City don't deal, and Khadija Shaw is completely unmarked and just completely misjudges the flight of the ball there. Just jumps in to try and meet it in the air and just ends up chesting it well wide. And London City win back the ball again. And here's Corrales. We know she can carry it well. Shifts it into Aslani now. Wider still into Godfrey. And Greenwood will get touched tight. Godfrey wants to take her on. Comes inside confidently now, Freya Godfrey. Miedemar doing the defensive work. And London City lose possession. Shaw now into Carolyn. Needs a wide option. Blinkilda Brown flanking to the right-hand side. Needs support now, and Corrales wins it back. And Pattinson trying to carry it forwards. Turned over though by Blinkilda Brown. Miedemar loses out. Somehow that's passed to Khadija Shaw by a London City player, and she gives it straight back to Yana Fernandez. Very messy. Very messy exchanges we're seeing from both teams, really. It looks nervy out there. And for all of, City are in such a strong position, you wonder if that is playing on their mind a little bit more now. They know a win today would all but seal the title. Is that why we're seeing a little bit of nervousness in this opening 9 minutes? Potentially so. Lloyd saying an orange offence, not quite a red. It's not dangerous and not in on goal, but very yellow. Yeah, I think, again, this is where interpretation of the rules can differ, because for me, if Knack doesn't take her out there. She's through, she's got a lot of space to just drive towards goal. But again, it's how you interpret the rules. I think because of how wide it is, that's probably why the referee's given a yellow card there. But there would be an argument for a red card. Eder Maestre, unbeaten. I love that statistic from Sky Sports. Unbeaten in first 2 games as London City coach. It is true. They haven't been very good, though. Rose. Now into Yui Hasegawa. But I think this has been a lot better from Maestre this opening 10 minutes. Caroline into Blinkilda Brown. And dispossessed by Kennedy. And Rodar goes back to Analete, who just looks to lift it to the right-hand side. Headed on by Godfrey. Goodwin will put pressure on possession. And Greenwood goes back to Yamashita. Hasegawa now. Plays it forward. Nice combination there. Miedemar slips it in behind. Here's Caroline bearing in on goal, and that's too easy. Man City from back to front in less than 10 seconds. Tidy combination. London City opened up and Caroline gets in to score. Nice movement from Manchester City. And they just played through them with no problem whatsoever. London City Lionesses 0, Man City 1. And it's a shame. It's a really positive start to this game for London City. But they just make it too easy there. The combination in midfield, they put no pressure on it. Miedemar can slip it in behind. And the organisation there from the centre halves. Sangare is caught dealing with Shaw. You've left Caroline to run at Alana Kennedy. You're asking for trouble. And that's too easy for Man City really to play through like that. Caroline, a tidy finish, her 3rd of the season. And Man City take an early lead. And that was their, 2nd opportunity of the game. Gilt edge chance though. London City, after a very positive opening 7-8 minutes, concede another poorly defended goal. Lloyd said Kennedy's starting, a very easy win for City then. Yeah, and this is the problem right with London City's squad building is Kennedy just doesn't, Kennedy's not a WSL level player really. There's a reason that City let her go across the NWSL. They brought her and Zellum in, neither were really what they needed. Zellum's now left again anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if Kennedy left as well, but they need a centre half. Here's Pattinson, down the left-hand side. Corrales now. Ball into the box. That's blocked towards the back post and cleared away well by Greenwood. Shaw holds on to the ball well. Looks perhaps to the left-hand side. That's behind Greenwood, but she will get there. Knack. Hasegawa into Rose. Caroline driving down the line and now wants to run at Pattinson. Plays it inside. Held on too well by Shaw. Back towards Caroline and Pattinson able to make the interception. Really important intervention there from Poppy Pattinson, who then clears it all the way to Ayaka Yamashita. Rose looks to relaunch this attack. Kasparai. Here's Yui Hasegawa. I think that's quite poor from Pattinson, just to give possession back there. I think one of the biggest things you want to do with City is when you do win when you do get those turnovers and you do win the ball, they are open on transition. So there's no need to just panic and smash it forwards, because you could have played it into Goodwin there and then maybe you make something of that. Instead, immediately they give the ball back and London City are under pressure again. Greenwood. Hemp. Goes wide. Miedemar, who's pulled into this left wide position, now puts the ball into the penalty area. That headed away by Pattinson. Hasegawa gets their header. Corrales. Her header, though, is intercepted by Pattinson, whose pass is then intercepted again by Yui Hasegawa. Caroline. Forced backwards by the press of Aslani. Kerolin dropping into midfield. We see those positional rotations. We see that fluidity of Manchester City. Goodwin wins it back. Perez. Now back with Perez. Tries to poke it on again. And it doesn't come to anything for London City. Hasegawa. Kerolin's pass is picked off, and it falls back to Yui Hasegawa, who finds Miedemar, who drove into a pocket. Now Kasparai, who's high and wide for City. Delivers it in towards the back post, and that's headed away. And that will go for a Man City throw-in. Thought it might just bounce there for a corner. But alas. Greenwood now with the throw. And she goes short into Khadija Shaw. Back to Greenwood. That's blocked well. Hemp. Hasegawa. Now plays it into Rose. Shaw asking who scored. It was Kerolin who got the goal. That's pull though from Kerolin. And London City can break away now. Aslani knocks it in behind into Goodwin. Great chance now. Isabel Goodwin turns back. And the chance goes begging. Yui Hasegawa gets back in and makes the challenge. But that was a great opportunity for Goodwin, who just didn't look comfortable hitting it with her left foot. Not good enough from Isabel Goodwin. Miedemar tries to play it in behind. Sangare will get there. Hemp now. Blinkilda Brown finds Shaw. Good hold up. Goodwin's got to take the shot there. Even if you're not confident on your weak foot, you've got to try something there. Shaw, nice turn, and a pass to the left-hand side is over here. Blinkilda Brown, though, will work hard to get there and keeps it in play. Brilliant work right there from the midfielder. Knocks it into Godfrey, and that's a corner now for Manchester City. Just too easy here, though again, London City broke away quickly. Aslani played it in behind. Goodwin there has to trouble the keeper. I get what she was thinking there. She's not confident on that left foot. She wanted to cut it back for a teammate. That was never going to work. Foster's only went to get lunch and it's already 1-0. To be fair, though, I don't think it's a fair reflection of the game. You know, I think City took the goal well. And they've had all of the ball. But I don't think London City have been as bad as the stats suggest. Chance now, though, for City. Shot by Nak is blocked. Kasparai. And Hasegawa on the edge. Kerolin. Wants to take on Fernandez. Gets around her brilliantly. Kerolin tries to cut it across the box. Blocked well. And that is out now for another corner. Azasia says, is there a rule where there has to be a minimum number of English players in the squad or something? I don't know why Goodwin keeps starting. It's not because... It's not a rule like they have to play in the team. They do have to have a minimum number within their registered squad. But no, they don't have to have a certain number of English players in the starting 11. I think it's because they don't have another striker. Ball into the box, headed away. Like, for all of the players they bought in the summer, they... didn't really sign, like they signed players who can play up front, but Paris is more of a winger and she's out injured anyway, I believe, or is maybe amongst substitutes to be fair. She's amongst substitutes, yeah. They've got Francie, who they signed in the summer, not really a striker, more of a winger. They've got Lotta Lindstrom, who's not a striker, and she's left now on loan because they didn't need her. Goodwin tries to find Aslani there, another breakaway for London City, breaks down. Here is Kerolin. It just didn't really sign a striker, and it's a bizarre decision. But there you go. They'll probably sign over Washington Spirit striker is, or whatever, whoever Lionesses don't want anymore. Vicky Becco potentially. Wouldn't surprise me. Phil says, same as versus Villa and Everton, draw them out and hit them when it opens up. I mean, similar. I think the difference is that London City are actually pressing and engaging quite high up the pitch today, which isn't really what you expect from a side playing City. And I see why they're doing it. They've been able to be quite offensive. Shot from Shaw now, saved well by Lette, and Miedemar were able to pounce as Lette able to recover it. And London City have had 2 or 3 now chances on the counter, where one was a shot that was fairly poor from Aslani, should have hit the target. Another was Goodwin, just not being decisive in front of goal, and the other was Rebecca Nat committing what it was given as a yellow card, arguably. I would say an orange card. I think someone put it as in the live chat. But they've had chances, London City, but again, just not able to take them, not able to combine in the final third effectively enough. It just screams of players who aren't familiar with each other. Rose. Now Yamashita. Lloyd says if Carolyn was a little better at looking for the pass, instead of always going straight at goal, she'd be much more dangerous. I don't know. I kind of like that they've got that she is so direct. I think there are a lot of wingers in the WSL who lack that directness, especially at top clubs. I think there's a lot of wingers who like to hug the touchline. Maybe that's a lot of that is tactical now, but I like that City have a different option. I think for that reason, Carolyn probably doesn't get in the strongest starting 11. For me, it'd be Fagino and Hemp, or Hemp and Fowler. For me, I'd have Fagino in there personally. But I think what Carolyn gives you is a bit of a Swiss Army knife, where she can do lots of different roles, but she's very direct, and she gives you, I think she's a fantastic impact sub, because she just gives you that directness. And so, she starts this game really sharp, because she wants to just run at players. She wants to get in behind. She wants to make those central runs. Here's a chance now for Miedemar. Across now to Hemp. Puts it into the box towards the back post. Punched away well by Lette. Carolyn now plays it across, and that's one back in there. Feels as it's a very end of a cell trait in wingers and forwards. Yeah, I think we see the same in Alyssa Thompson at Chelsea. She just wants to run at goal. Whereas I think a lot of the European players, obviously, there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more focus on tactics in the WSL. I think the NWSL, from what I've analysed, is very much player oriented. But yeah, chance now from Miedemar, blocked away. It's much more about being, how athletic you are, rather than, who's the best manager, able to construct the best squad. Sure, able to just absolutely just burst past a player there, shrugs her to the floor. Ball across the box is poor though. And London City looking to break away again. Nack does well under pressure from Goodwin. Exchanges with Rose. Back to Nack now, who's unopposed. Did carry it forwards for a moment. Now shifts into Blinkilda Brown. And it's back to Greenwood. LB says Yui is one of the best midfielders in the world. Probably the best midfielder in the world. Yeah. Drive inside now from Lauren Hemp. Back towards Blinkilda Brown. Greenwood, Miedemar. Here's Lauren Hemp. Ball in towards the back post. Carolyn. Takes it past Corrales. Looks to cut it across the box. That's blocked well. Rose. Now Hasegawa. Kasparai. All the way back to Nack. Now Greenwood. Hemp. Under pressure. Godfrey just trying to force her backwards. And now Nack. Greenwood wants to deliver it. Ball down the line. Into Viviana Miedemar. Poked out of play well by Fernandez. And I mean, it's been what we expected from City, really. London City started much better than we would have thought, but 7 shots to 1, 2 on target to none, 15 touches in the opposition box to a measly 1 from London City, and 75% possession from Manchester City. You'd expect them to kick on from here. Hasegawa into Carolyn. Hasegawa again, and now Rose. Miedemar. Knack goes wide to Greenwood. Now Shaw, Greenwood, Hemp, plays it again, looking for the run of Greenwood. It was a nice 1-2, but just slightly overhit. And now Lete. Perez. He would have played the pass forward, and that's intercepted well by Hasegawa. And it's turned over. And here come London City. Good win. Wide to Corrales. Can they make something happen here? Ball floated towards the back post. A Slaney header on target. And that is chested down by the goalkeeper. Not the best header. London City, there's no urgency here. Corrales is breaking down the left-hand side. And you can see what's going to happen anyway, because Goodwin's carrying the ball forward. You can see the run of Corrales, and no one gets forward. Now, Asllani saunters into the box. There was a half-assed run at the back post. The midfield should be sprinting. It's your best chance. I know you don't want to lose your discipline, which London City have done all season anyway. But you've got to commit at those opportunities. But just no one really got forward. Carl says Barcelona have 4 better midfielders. What, than Newey? That's just not true. It's just not true. Had a push Gallardo, but I think Hasegawa is better than Gallardo. I think that's a really close debate. Knack out now to Greenwood. Lovely touch inside. Here's Lauren Hemp. Miedemar cuts it back, blocked well. Hemp gets a shot, and that's blocked as well. Clipped down the line, held up by Goodwin. Flick over the head. And turned over well by London City. Blink it around. Here's Rose. Kasperai. Rose. Switch of the play now from Rebecca Knack. Looking to find Carolyn. She wants to take on Pattinson. Rose. Knack again. Looking to penetrate. Here's Hasegawa. Knack. Hasegawa. Pass around the corners, intercepted by Maria Perez. And here come London City Lionesses. Ball poked in behind. Goodwin's absolutely nailed the run. She's in here for London City. Isabel Goodwin tips onto the post by Ayaka Yamashita. And that should be 1-0. 1-1, sorry. Wow. Perez weighted pass fantastically in behind. Goodwin times the run to perfection. And Yamashita just gets enough of a touch on it. That should be 1-0. She's just... Goodwin's done everything right there. The finish. She's got to get around the ball a little bit more. It's just too central. She's very, the run is very centred on the ball. So then when she strikes it, you're never going to get enough around it to hit the corners. She needs to be making that run slightly to the left, right at the end of that run, move slightly to the left, so she can then strike around the ball. And just open up the shot a little bit more. But that, a great chance for London City. And Manchester City, again, opened in transition. Yamashita, a big save. Tipping it onto the post. But wow. Here's Blinkilda Brown. Miedemar, Shaw. Hemp now takes aim. That's a really well-placed shot. Elena Lete gets up well, though. Carter says you need to watch Serie Orde then. I think if you think Seriorde is as good as Yui Hasegawa, you're either a huge Barcelona fan or reliably misinformed. But yeah. Alex says maybe Goodwin is just not good enough for a top club in the WSL. I don't like to write young players off like that. I think there's a lot of attributes that are really strong about Goodwin. I just think she needs to work with a finishing coach. Like, her movement is really strong. I think, there's a lot of top WSL strikers still that make that running behind and they're offside. I think Goodwin's movement is quite good, especially in around the penalty area. She's able to create chances for not only herself but her teammates. It's just that finishing that lets her down. And that's okay in the WSL too, and we saw her thrive last season in that environment. She's taken that step up this season, and yes, she has been disappointing to an extent. I think 3 goals, she would have wanted to have more by this point in the campaign. But I think there is a lot to like about Goodwin. She just needs to work with a finishing coach, because her movement's really decent, but she is significantly underperforming expected goals this season. 4.97 expected goals. That would rank her in the 86th percentile amongst positional peers in the WSL, but she's only scored 3, so she's underperforming by almost two goals there. Whereas most strikers you'd expect to be overperforming that statistic. So it's a mixture of things. I think her movement's really strong. She's playing in a side where she doesn't get loads of service, so that obviously impacts things as well. And yeah, her finishing needs working on, but I don't think she's a bad striker at all. I think she's a striker where if she works with a top level finishing coach, I think she gets there. But also, if she's working in London City side, like Khadija Shaw this season has the most big chances missed of any player in the league, because she has the most chances. She has the most big chances to miss them, and it doesn't really matter if she misses 3 or 4. She still seems to score every game. So yeah. As Phil says, Goodwin is young. It's her first season at this level. Composure and finishing will come in time. Absolutely. Still only 23, I believe. So yeah, I think there's still a long way for her to go. She's not. I can't remember where she came through now. She came through Aston Villa in 21-22. She spent a lot of time outside of the WSL. Coventry in 22-23, then Sheffield United, and then 2 seasons with London City. Last season in WSL 2, this season in WSL. So she's not really played any WSL football at the age of 23. 14 games at London City this season, and I think a handful back at Villa a few years ago. That's not, if she'd been playing top level football, getting exposure to top level football that whole time, she'd be a very different player. But I do think that her unique path to WSL gives her something slightly different. I think her physical profile is really good. I think there is a rawness to her movement. She makes movement to create opportunities because she's played in sides where she is the only one doing that. So yeah, I think there's a lot. I don't think there's a lot to like about her. But yeah. Here is Rebecca Neck. Yamashita into Hasegawa. Versus every top striker is atop the missed chances stats. Getting those chances is a huge part of being a top striker. True. It has its trade-offs. If you're top of both big chances missed and top goal scorers, then it's fine. If you're top of big chances missed and you're not near the top of the top goal scorers, that's where the problem lies. I think especially when you're at London City, who don't create loads of chances, you need a striker that is absolutely clinical. But I think it's smarter for them to invest long-term in Goodwin than it would be to go and sign. I mean, who would they sign right now? Who is a very London City striker to go and sign? I don't think Turland is. I was just trying to think of anyone in the league. Hasegawa plays it short. Shaw now lurking at the back post. That's cleared away though. The delivery from Carolyn not good enough. Hemp. Hasegawa carrying it forwards. Now Carolyn. Ball in, and that's saved well. I'd completely forgotten, by the way, there were any other games going on right now because we've seen nothing in the opening 33 minutes. But finally, we do have a goal in one of the games. It's Leicester City 0, West Ham 1. And that is huge in the context of both those side seasons. 33 minutes played, and the Hammers leading by a goal to nil. Is Rita Guarino on course for her first win as West Ham manager? Not sure who scored it yet, but that is a good start. It's Verena Hanshaw who strikes a free kick into the top right corner. Wow. So West Ham leading there. That draws them level on points with Everton. Is Brian Sorensen in trouble? I'm sure we'll be talking about that more tomorrow. Lloyd says Beth Mead played centrally. Yeah, that's very London City. A bit like they're doing with Paris. I know Paris played up front, to be fair, for Brighton, but still, that's very London City. So it says, what about Chawinga from OL? No, that's way too good a player. The London City bracket's got to be someone who has sort of high reputation, is between 29 to 35 years old, and used to be incredibly good and has just sort of tapered off a little bit. Not too far, but a little bit. London City exchange nice in this wide area. Aslani. Ball in towards the back post. Kept alive here by Sangare, who goes down in the box. Was there a push? Not in the opinion of the referee. Rodar. Fernandez. That's a great delivery chance, and it hits the bar. Bounces around. Can anyone turn it home? No, they can't. Fernandez back in there. Bounces through to Yamashita. How on earth have Man City not conceded in this game? That is now the third big opportunity for Isabel Goodwin. And this the most unlucky of the three. Great ball in from Yana Fernandez. Waited perfectly. And Goodwin, she's just been nudged enough there by Rebecca Knack that she meets it at the wrong point. And she just sends it flying high. But wow, City riding their luck in this game. They've not created much since the goal. And Isabel Goodwin striking the crossbar. Ball in behind again. London City are up for this today. Corrales wants to take on Kasparai. Back to Pattinson. Ball floated in. And that overhit and it's gone off for a goal kick. And a goal, but in the game between Aston Villa and Manchester United, it's Aston Villa 0, Manchester United 1. Yulia Zigiotti-Olma has scored directly from a corner. Wow. Olympiacos. And Villa have immediately levelled, by the way. What on earth is going on there? Kirsty Hansen has scored almost immediately after they conceded. That's 1-0. What is going on today? Crazy game over there. We saw nothing for 30 odd minutes. There have been 3 goals in the last 3 minutes. Rose. Back now to Blinker-de-Brown. Ball forwards, nodded away by Kennedy, kept alive by Hemp. Holds on to possession, clipped towards the back post. Head away by Fernandez. Here is Hasegawa. Hemp. Alex says Freya Godfrey will suffer when Cascarino gets right winger starter, sadly. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic player to sign. Cascarino is a brilliant footballer, but it's another weird fit. There's zero sort of squad building there. Zero thought for. It's just sign high reputation players and then try and build a squad of them afterwards. I think I've used the analogy many times this season. It's like opening a FIFA pack and then you just have to put all of those players into a team. Like, there seems to be very little thought about how players fit together, how you construct a squad in a smart way. Furkan Dogan says 1 goal, please. Well, we've seen 1 goal. We may be about to see another. Man City with this free kick in a good position. Greenwood floating it towards the back post. Headed across goal by Hemp. Nodded on. Kasparai now. And that's a brilliant defensive header. And it was Corrales in there who just got above the Manchester City right back. Headed it away. If not, that probably would have been 2-0. Of course, there's Mead spent her entire development as a striker. She only went wide because Viv was so good. Yeah, I know, but it would still be very London City to put her back there. Just because she's played a winger for so long now for Arsenal. Ball in, punched away, and that'll be another corner now as City keep the pressure on here. Can London City ride this wave? Can they win this ball, actually, and look to break quickly? Well, Man City will look to swing it into the box. It's Hasegawa over this again. Ball in towards the front post, headed away by London City. Hemp now on the edge, takes aim, and it apparently hadn't come onto the field. Or left the field of players, it dropped there into the penalty area. So that will be a goal kick. But yeah, we'll look back at that chance then from Carolyn. We've not seen much from City since that, have we? And it's London City coming forwards again here. Yamashita quick off her line though to collect. But London City from 4 shots, 0.9 xG. Man City 10 shots, just 1.2 xG. That is a stark difference. London City 2 big chances created to Man City's 1. And that probably doesn't consider the Isabel Goodwin when she was in on goal opportunity because she didn't actually have a shot. I think City are a very strong side, but they have been exposed in moments by London City and they haven't been punished for it enough. All of the possession, but this has actually been a much better performance from London City than we've seen. I think this is their best performance of the season. I think they've looked better defensively, much better defensively. I think they've looked much sharper in the attacking third. Corrales taking on Rose now. Good defending again from Jade Rose. So a difficult job there with how much we've seen Corrales getting in behind on that left-hand side. She has dealt really well with that pressure. As is Jackie still confident Chelsea can win with WSL with Sonia Ball? Yeah. Not this season, I don't think now. I think it's out of reach. But I think I've seen a lot of frustrated reactions, and I get it. My immediate reaction in the game yesterday was anger, was frustration. I think that's why we're seeing quite an emotional reaction from people, and social media stokes that up even more. But I think anyone seriously calling for Sonia Bonpastor to be sacked, it would be the wrong decision at this time. Not only because she's still a fantastic manager, and I don't think yesterday, of course she got things wrong, and I think she'd be the first to admit that. But I don't think it was all her fault yesterday. And I think sacking her doesn't solve the issues that we saw on the field. Miedemar. Ball in, blocked by Sangare. But also don't see who Chelsea would bring in. Like, what manager is there right now where you go, yeah, they come in and immediately they make Chelsea better? If she was to be for whatever reason she was sacked tomorrow, my favourite would probably be someone like a Dario Vidicic. But I would be concerned about him stepping up to that level. But I don't, you don't get Geraldes, do you? You don't get Andre Eglerts. They're 2 of the top managers right now. I don't know where else you look, in all honesty. Alex says, Jack, is Corrales really a winger? Absolutely. Absolutely a winger. I think one of those players who was just, because Barcelona don't play any defenders on the pitch, one of those players who's just been sort of profiled as a fullback because Barca's fullbacks are wingers. But I think she's definitely a winger. Her ball carrying's really strong. Her crossing's fairly good. I think she's excellent in that sort of final third. I think wing back she can do a wing back role. She can do a fullback role. I just think she is better though as a winger. Arsenal was superb off the ball yesterday. Yeah, I thought that they knew exactly what Chelsea were going to do in terms of pressing. If you press them high, Chelsea really struggled to play out from the back. I thought Bright at left centre back was a disaster. Again, I don't want to talk too much about the game. We'll save that for many videos and live streams this week. But I think Arsenal were better off the ball than we've seen them a lot this season. I think we still saw the same issues from Arsenal in possession. And I think we still saw the same issues for Arsenal in the defensive third. And I don't think Chelsea capitalised on that enough. Herman says Sonia has destroyed Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea are completely destroyed now. Just dead. This is why I think the opinions like that are just ridiculous. But thanks for your thoughts. Here is Greenwood. Now Knack across into Rose. Good hold up from Carolyn. And now Knack. Plays into Khadija Shaw. Great hold up there from the forward. Looks out to the right-hand side. Brilliant from Corrales. And Perez, Aslani, Rodar. Tiny combination in there. And that's a blatant foul for Khadija Shaw, which I think she'll be lucky not to get booked for. But she will escape the referee's caution. So it says, we're missing something in midfield. Perhaps an informed Walsh would have been it. Fox had so much space to play. Oh, yeah, they're two very different problems. 1 minute of additional time in this game. I think what we saw was that Chelsea got the midfield set up wrong anyway. You know, Arsenal's biggest problem is playing out from the back, and they decided to play two strikers, which meant Arsenal could very easily play into their defensive midfielders, and they put Wrighton in there, who just didn't win the ball back enough. So they didn't really target Arsenal's frailty from sort of building out from the back enough. And yeah, Captain's not a defensive midfielder. I think that's quite apparent. And I think when you play Baltimore left wing back, who's super aggressive, and you play Bright at left centre back, who isn't quick enough to cover those wide spaces, it was a recipe for disaster. And yeah, Emily Fox completely, Fox and Mead. That's why they had a field. I mean, people speaking about how Beth Mead is back and all this. She thrived on a huge amount of space, and it was a strong performance. Take nothing away from her. Half time here in this game. We'll get back to that conversation in a moment. London City 0, Manchester City 1. The opening goal of the game coming from Carolyn, and overall City able to take charge of this game, but it hasn't been without threat. We've seen opportunities in this game for London City, yet though to capitalise on some of those issues. There has been a very entertaining first half though. London City 0, Manchester City 1. This has been interesting to watch. I think what we're seeing from London City is a rejuvenated side. We're seeing a football team that are actually much better defensively. I think taking Saki Kumagai out of the team is a huge improvement. A player's made a lot of mistakes this season, looked really slow in possession. I think that helps massively. I think that Corrales is giving them a new outlet on the left wing, and what that gives them is threat on both flanks. They've now got Godfrey and Corrales, who are very good at sort of pinning players wide, and that is making it very difficult, stretching that Man City backline. When we think about City's rest defence, it's that three-back, isn't it, of Greenwood, Knack and Rose. And what London City are doing really effectively is transitioning quickly to hurt them in those positions. And we have seen Goodwin in on goal a couple of times now. We've seen Corrales breaking down the left-hand side. We've seen Godfrey looking dangerous on the right-hand side. There is a goal coming in this game. The question is, when does it come? But Man City have comfortably leading, and they haven't really got out of first gear. They scored that goal in 11 minutes. They broke through the London City back line way too easily. It was a nice combination, but London City were opened up way too easily. Tidy finish from Carolyn. But we've seen this a lot from Man City this season, where they've had other opportunities a bit, but they've not really taken them. They've not killed this game off yet, but you would expect in the second half they can start to take charge a little bit more. They are still showing those defensive fragilities, and I do think that has to be addressed at some point. I think until a team exposes them, it probably won't be. They haven't lost a game this season outside of the opener to Chelsea. And, they've simply operated with just keep scoring goals. It doesn't really matter then if our defence isn't brilliant. But especially when you don't get punished for it. London City have created a better chance in this game. And if Khadija Shaw was playing for the other team, it's quite, it's 2-1 London City. But City have been able to rest on the fact they've got better quality players. They have used that in this game. Yamashita made a fantastic save, albeit Isabel Goodwin should have done a lot better in that position. And that's given them this sort of platform, really, to play from now, Man City. They take the lead going into half-time. You'd expect them to... I'd expect Jeglich to actually be fairly negative in his half-time address, you know, that City didn't move the ball quick enough. They weren't good enough in the final third. They weren't as sharp as we've seen them in recent weeks, and they have been a little bit open defensively. So I think he will be fairly negative. But overall, it's a position we've seen them in before. I think back to the Aston Villa game just a few weeks ago, they were only leading 2-0 at half-time. They ended up winning, 6-1, 6-2, something like that. Just dominant in that second half. And I wouldn't be surprised if this went a very similar way. City haven't, lifted a finger yet, and they're winning this game. So I'd expect them to sort of kick on in a similar fashion. So a lot of conversations about the game yesterday. Zato says, if both teams put away their chances, it'd be 3-2 London City. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what differentiates the top sides in the league from other sides. It's why City lead as well this season. Think about all the teams below them in the table, or at least the other top sides. I think United have not been brilliant at chance creation. They've been quite too negative at times. I think Arsenal are struggling in chance creation. But also, they've got a few different issues, to be fair. Chelsea's biggest problem has been that lack of clinicality, and that's why those sides have perhaps struggled, whereas City, they have no issue creating chances, and they had little to no issue putting them away. And when you create such a high volume of big opportunities, and you score such a high volume of goals, you're going to dominate the league. So they've been really good this season. There is elements of their play which are potentially unsustainable. And I do think sides will start to figure them out, especially next season. But there is obviously then that opportunity for tactics to evolve. So I think, City have done really well. This is the same sort of first half as we'd expect. We've seen a lot this season, and I would expect them to kick on. If the second half is different from what we've seen, from the norm, and we do see sort of London City battle back into this game, then maybe we're having a different discussion then. But London City have had those opportunities, they've not taken them, and I think that City will feel that sort of kick up the arse. They'll get into gear, and they will take control of this game. So, yeah, Nigel says that half wasn't bad, but defensively will look more suspect than in recent games. So, yeah, absolutely. So many chances in behind. Lloyd saying, Godfrey sprinted away from every City defender. They desperately need a second goal so they can change shape. I do see a goal, and Nigel says, I do see a goal for London City if we don't fix up at the back. Yeah, I mean, the problem is London City have had so many opportunities and they haven't taken them. They haven't, made City pay for potentially those defensive issues. But yeah, we'll look back at that goal again. It's a really nice combination, as we've seen a lot this season. It's Shaw's movement here that creates the space for Kerolin, and driving that run wide, because it opens up not only the space for that ball to physically be played through, but it also draws away the right centre half Sangari from the equation. You isolate Kerolin, making the run off the shoulder of Kennedy, who we know is not good enough really, and we saw that at Man City for years, but especially towards the end of her time there, she's just not quick enough, and that ball gets slipped in behind, and she's out of that equation, and Kerolin's breaking in behind and scoring. But outside of that, City's best chance of the game went to Khadija Shaw, that ball across the box, which she completely misjudged. But that's been it in terms of chances, really, for Manchester City. This has probably been the game where they've struggled to create the most. You do wonder if it is just a bit of fatigue setting in from Wednesday night. Then they're not a side that's used to playing Saturday, Wednesday. So when you've had a bit of an intensive schedule recently, potentially that is having an impact here today. But equally, they did rotate, fairly decently against Bournemouth. So, yeah, it's been an interesting one. It's not been City's best performance of the season. They still lead fairly comfortably, though. London City have had a whole host of chances. The first coming from Goodwin early in the game. This was to level it up on 27 minutes. They're not going to show the one where Goodwin was fouled or the one where Goodwin should have struck with the left foot. They're going to show the chance where she was going to score. Brilliant effort in behind. Breaks through the centre and just has to open that body up more and strike into the corner. Goodwin also crashed a header against the crossbar. Yana Fernandez just floating it towards the back post, and Goodwin just got under the ball too much, and that saw it hit the crossbar. But yeah, this has been much better for London City than we've seen all season. It's been one of City's slower performances of the season, so we'll see what happens there. Nine says, we've had our chances and could have had more than one goal, but London City could have had 2 or 3 themselves. Absolutely. Rose and Neck have looked a step behind compared to recent performances. Yeah, I think, actually, to be fair, I think Rose has done really well. I don't think Rose has really done much wrong. London City are really effectively getting 2v1 or 3v2 situations in those wide areas. because of how high Corrales is, because of Aslani's positioning, because of the role Perez has played in this game, because of Goodwin coming across. They've been able to really effectively isolate Rose in there. And I do think Knack struggled. Knack had to make that big challenge early on to deny Goodwin, and that yellow kind of just made life a little bit more difficult for her. And I think she's really struggled to handle Goodwin. Goodwin's movement's been strong. Goodwin's a very physical player, but also deceptively quick. And I do think Knack has been caught out a little bit by that. And yeah, I mean, Knack's had a fantastic start to life at City since she joined last summer. She hasn't played loads of football. When she has played, she's looked really good. But this has not been her finest first 45. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Alex says City needed a great left back in the summer. Greenwood hasn't got the legs to play fullback. The problem is you need someone who's going to fit that very specific role. So yeah, I mean, potentially you look at someone like a Sarah Horta who plays a Voloreña. Potentially you look at someone like you want a Steph Catley 5 years ago, but probably slightly better on the ball. You know, you want a player who can play centre back or left back, is more naturally a centre half, but was also, you know, quick enough to play left back, mobile enough to play left back. But that, you know, that's probably signing someone and then using them in that role rather than signing someone who does that already. But yeah, I think if you can bring in someone who's mobile enough, then yeah. I think that will be the area that they need to address quickest, is probably because you've got Greenwood, who's 31, 32, I want to say. I'm going to have a look now. Yeah, 32. So that's probably the position where they've got the most immediate problem. Because I think we'll start to see that drop off, similarly to how we have with Millie Bright, similar to how we have with, you know, a few Arsenal players over the last few years, similar to how we have with a lot of players. Once you get over that hill of 30, you not all the time. I think Lucy Bronze is an example of someone who's sort of kept that level, but you know, you do often see a decline as the players' physicality starts to drop, as their physical attributes do just diminish slightly. You do see that performance level start to drop. And I think Greenwood's been fine this season, but we have seen her be fairly injury prone. We have seen her struggle at times to defend wide areas. I think particularly in the game against Everton, I want to say, Tony Payne got in that right-hand side so many times. But because it's Tony Payne, never really came to anything, unfortunately, for Everton. But Phil says a young Gabby George would be perfect. Yeah, someone like that who, again, is mobile enough but physical enough. It's a sort of a rare profile, to be fair. And you also want them to be left-footed. And as we've discussed a lot on this channel this year, there are no left-footed footballers anymore. They're all gone. So yeah, it's a tough role, really. It's a tough job for City to do, is to bring someone in for that very specific role in their side. You also don't want to limit yourself, because if Jeglerts does decide he wants to move towards maybe a more attacking left back, and they do adjust slightly, you know, maybe they look at other options. So they don't want to limit themselves too much by signing just one specific profile. But they do need to have to think about obviously what the best fit is for this system, as well as what the best fit is for a potential squad going forwards. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Lloyd says the City goal was Yui's penetrating pass, but Viv gets the assist. Yui assists the assist so many times. Yeah, pre-assists I think should be made more of. I think assist is such a pointless statistic. We don't talk enough about how assists tell us nothing. I think chances created, I think expected assists, I think big chance created tell you a lot more. They're still, I mean, big chances are difficult because they're still very subjective. But I think they tell us a lot more on progressive passes, and key passes tell us a lot more than assists. But there's still a lot of focus put on assists, when actually a lot of the time players just pass it to someone else and then they score. It doesn't necessarily mean they created the chance. It doesn't necessarily mean they're a fantastic creator. But yeah. I mean, a good example is Beth Mead actually this season, because she's got like 5 assists, and I've seen a lot of people sort of defend her performances by looking purely at her assist numbers, but actually her chance creation numbers haven't been as high as you'd expect from a wide player. So I think that's a great example of someone who the assists can be deceptive in a sense. But yeah, and I think, you know, if Hasegawa was awarded that assist because she created that chance, but also things like Shaw creates that chance, right, by her movement, but because she doesn't physically touch the ball, it doesn't really count for anything. It's why, you know, data isn't perfect and you can't just look at spreadsheets. It needs to be a combination of the two. That Zigliotti goal, just dipping in there at the far post, and then looking at the Villa goal, it's an absolute pearl by the looks of it. Usually is if it's Kirsty Hansen. Nah, not really a perler. I misjudged that one. Just drove into the penalty area. Poor goalkeeping from Tullis Joyce, has to be said. And that Hanshaw free kick it's not the best struck free kick, I have to say. But it just floated in at the near post. And then nothing in the way of goals to speak about in the other game, which is, of course, Liverpool facing Tottenham. And that would be a huge point if Liverpool can hold on to it. Have they played well? They've actually played very well, to be fair. All the chances. Again, can't just look at data, but they do look like they've done well there. But yeah, so we should be back underway shortly. Someone says, hello from Mexico, welcome. Phil says, all stats are based on how you interpret them. That's why clubs pay so much to data analysts. Absolutely. It's why I think stuff like FPF is brilliant for analysts, and it's such a shame it's gone now. I haven't spoken about that at all on the channel. It massively changes how we're going to do things on this channel. We still don't really know because there's not much easily sourceable data for the WSL, especially not for free. So FPF is a fantastic resource. But what I did see a lot of people do was just sort of take a look at someone's FPF and go, this is a good player, or this is a bad player. And obviously you do need context behind those numbers to actually be able to say, you know, this player is good at this thing, or, you know, or good at this, whatever. But yeah. Nice. As chance created isn't that great. Either you give a 3-yard pass to someone and they shoot from 25 yards, that counts as a chance created. But it gives you a better picture overall, Nigel. Yeah, in an individual game, probably not. But in terms of over a season, I think broadly it would. Because it calculates other chance created as well. But yeah, and remember as well to join us this week. I haven't spoken about this much yet, but it's the FIFA Women's Champions Cup semi-final, everyone's favourite competition. Join us later this week. That's Wednesday, midday, and then afternoon. We're about to get back underway in this game, though, at the Copper Box, or the Copper Jacks Stadium. And it is Isabel Goodwin from the middle, knocks it back. We're back underway in this game. London City trailing by a goal to 0 against the league leaders. Can they bounce back in this game? We'll have to wait and see. Lete into Sangare, looks out to the right-hand side, finds Godfrey. And as they are now able to find Aslani, Pattinson. Lovely give and go there with Corrales, slips it in behind to Goodwin. Great hold up there from the forward, back towards Aslani. And that has gone for a corner, and that was a really nice move from London City. Asai tried to cut it back across the box, and that just knocked out of play. The ball blocked and out of play from Rebecca Knack in there. It was a strong challenge from Knack, who did just catch Aslani in the aftermath. Alex says, guys, do you think Keating should keep warming the bench in the Joey or make a move in the summer? I don't think City will be keen to get rid of her, because there aren't many better backups out there. It depends what Keating's personal aspirations are. But I don't think she's ever going to be England #1. And I think being a bench goalkeeper for a bit, at least, gives her the chance to win trophies in the short term. Maybe she moves later in her career to go and seek an opportunity to be the first choice goalkeeper. But yeah. London City now with the corner, ball into the box, heads away. And now they look to break with Kerry, and that's blocked well by Perez. First, as FIFA needs a huge kick in the teeth. They're killing the World Cup and bloating the fixtures with these cash grab tournaments. Yeah, it's one of those. I love the idea of a Club World Cup in the women's game. I think obviously there's been a lot of debate over where that should be held. I think Qatar would be a terrible place to hold the Women's World Cup. Or the Women's Club World Cup, sorry. I think they're looking at like January, which again would be hugely disruptive for the European calendar. And understandably, I think the WSL are opposed to that idea. But yeah. And I don't see the value in this, though. I think a properly fleshed out Club World Cup, I think, would be very enjoyable. It'd be good to see the NWSL sides competing with the European teams in a competitive tournament. But we saw the men's one, and yeah, it was a fairly enjoyable tournament. But it has, I think, killed a few teams this season in terms of their fatigue. I think you look at all of the teams who played in the Club World Cup. None of them are dominating domestically apart from Bayern. So I'd be interested to see what happens, whether we do see the women's game move to, if we do see the Club World Cup in the women's game, how that looks when it's going to be hosted. It's I mean, it's supposed to be next year, isn't it? And there's still so little we know about it. Ball into the area, looking for Shaw. That's headed away. And now Aslani looks to break. Out towards the left-hand side. Pattinson works hard to get there. Now needs support. Corrales. They seem to have swapped Pattinson and Corrales, at least for the moment. Kennedy into Sangare. Lloyd says Keating should go. She's too good to on the bench, but not good enough to start over Yamashita. Well, where does she go is the question. Like, if Liverpool hadn't just got Falcon on loan, that would be a great destination, but I don't really see where she goes and starts. Ball in towards the back post, headed away, and now Blinker to Brown can knock it on. I almost feel she'll be a bit of an Emi Martinez in the men's game, where he was back up at Arsenal for so long, and then he played well for Argentina, got the move to Villa, and is now considered like a very good goalkeeper, and had this sort of second career almost. Shot from range now from Godfrey, who arrows it into the stands. But yeah. So it says, I wish they also would move to the international calendar. I don't think Gotham has a good chance of winning since they're still in pre-season training. Well, it depends, because it can go both ways, can't it? Because yes, Gotham aren't match sharp, but they will be fitter than Arsenal. Arsenal will be fatigued. Arsenal have played Saturday, Wednesday, pretty much since the start of the season. So, I agree to an extent, but I also think that it goes both ways in the sense that Gotham will probably be fitter than Arsenal. They may not be as sharp, but they've played a fair few pre-season games, haven't they, to prepare for it. They'll have the game against Corinthians on Wednesday to prepare as well, before a potential match-up with Arsenal, we should say. Although I would be thoroughly surprised if it was anything other than a Gotham Arsenal final. No disrespect to As Far. Sangare. Godfrey. Now finds Aslani. Nice move this from London City. Moves out to the left-hand side. Corrales cuts it back. Aslani now! And that is a big chance missed from Kosovare Aslani. Got to score that. She just has to score that. It's a brilliant move. It's too easy. Again, City just opened up. Aslani leans back and clips it up into the crowd. Criminal from Aslani. Got to score that one. That should be 1-0 again. That is the third or fourth big opportunity that London City should have scored in this game. Credit where it's due. They've played a lot better, but they should have made City pay at some point. Knack into Kerolin. Now Perez plays it in behind. Chance again now. Aslani will get there. She drives towards goal. Goodwin in the box. Cuts it across and Yamashita will get there. She should have let Goodwin take that. They both made the same run. Aslani was running wide and Goodwin was running towards goal. I think she's just got to... Goodwin should be screaming for her to leave it. Let Goodwin drive forward to that pass. That's sloppy from Man City playing out. That would be a London City throw-in on this near side. Here is Pattinson. Looking to progress the ball down the line. Aslani. Kasperai wanted to force her out of play. Aslani's ball into the box is a tame one. And Man City can play out from the back. GT says City players look so tired. Why aren't they making any subs? Yeah, they do look tired, City. They do look fatigued. You wonder how much that League Cup game on Wednesday took out of them, both physically and probably mentally. To be fair, they played hard, they played aggressively, and they didn't get the result. Kerolin darts inside. Blinkill around. Now Greenwood. Pam says, why are they letting them dominate so much this half? They're not. I don't think there's much letting them, to be fair. London City are just playing well, and City aren't keeping up with them. Ball clipped forwards by Knack, headed away. Corrales back to Pattinson, who can try and play it forwards. Cut out by Kasparai. Kerolin now with space, puts it into the area, headed away by Sangare, who will then get to the second ball. Brilliant work there from Wasa Sangare, and they can play out from this position. Fernandez. Perez. Back to Fernandez. Perez. Godfrey. Fernandez. Lovely combination this. Fernandez forced backwards. Perez through the lines to Godfrey. Lovely work from London City. When are they going to punish this Man City side? Ball slipped in behind. Goodwin will get there. Can she keep it in? No, she can't. This is much better. Much, much better from London City. They're playing good football. For the first time this season, they are playing good football. Will that goal come? That's the big question. Goodwin. Should have kept that in. It's tough. But yeah, it was slightly overhit. Greenwood. Now Knack. Blinkill to Brown. Moves it across into Jade Rose, who finds Kerolin on the touchline, who's going to drive down the right-hand side. Kasparai overlaps, and it goes back to the full-back. One back in there by Pattinson, who smashes it forwards. Rose will collect. Knack into Greenwood. Hemp. Hurried off the pitch. Fernandez. Perez. Goodwin flicks it on and flicks it out of play. Azato says, have you noticed any changes in tactics for London City with the new coach? Pressing, both structures seem to be quite different, but we're seeing pressing is a bit more aggressive now. I think under Proyshare they tended to drop off and let teams come onto them a little bit more. I think we're seeing Alicia Thompson and Ellie Cutter also in attendance today, I'm guessing, to see Van der Donk, who is on the bench, of course. What we're seeing as well is we're seeing a lot of more wide combinations. That midfield pivot of Rodar and Perez, but particularly Perez, I think is much stronger than what they've been using so far this season. Kumagai has been, fairly poor since joining. I think is the kindest way to say it. Don't really know why we're just looking up at the crowd at the moment. But there we go. And I think, yeah, with Perez and Rodar, they've got a lot more energy in midfield. They seem to be playing a lot better on the ball. We're seeing both midfielders pull wide and create those triangles. They look a lot better. There's a lot, it's been a vast improvement from London City. There was a head injury there, Goodwin and Nat coming together. Both players do seem to be all right to continue. But this was that moment then, yeah. Goodwin flicking on, Knack looking ahead. Both do seem to be all right, though. Goodwin back on her feet. Knack does now get back to her feet. And after a handshake, they are friends once more. Conflict is resolved. But yeah, London City, 56 minutes on the clock. How have they not scored in this game? Something I didn't think I'd be saying. How have they not scored in this game? So many opportunities. They've had a higher XG created than Man City. I know it's not a perfect statistic, but it does give you an indication of the chances London City have had. Still, not much happening in the second half of this WSL Sunday across the league. Liverpool, Tottenham, still the deadlock intact in that game. Leicester down a goal to 0 against West Ham, and it's Aston Villa 1, Man United 1 as well as we move towards the hour mark there. Aslani then over this. Can she pick someone out in the area? She delivers it in. Not a bad ball from Aslani. Headed away though by Lauren Hemp. And Caroline comes away with possession. Blinker Brown knocks it on, and Fernandez there to sweep up. Looks to play it out to the left-hand side. Great ball from Yana Fernandez. Here's Corrales now. Wants to take on Rose. Rose stands her up. And then it's Quick Kennedy on the scene. Pattinson. Kennedy. Back now to Rodar. Ball into the area. Chance now. Blocked well. And Sangare lurking in the penalty area. And that is a huge block. And I think it was Shaw there doing the defensive work. Sangare got there. Shaw blocked it. That's a fantastic block tonight. What would have been a certain goal. Corner now. Can London City capitalise? Godfrey tries to turn. Corner again. They played it short. Didn't quite work out. So a delivery once more for London City. And London City, the only side in the second half to have a shot. The only side to have a touch in the opposition box. 7 to Man City's 0. Aslani. Ball in, headed away. Here's Fernandez. Rodar. Now Perez. Good fight in there. Godfrey turns it over. Rodar. Battling away. Now Godfrey. Blocked well by Greenwood, and that's out for a throw. Harrison of London City had more than 2 shots today. Yeah, I mean, they've been the better side. I've got no shame in admitting that. I don't think City have been particularly good. First half was fairly even, but London City edged it in terms of big opportunities created. The second half's been all London City. Fernandez, that's blocked well. Feels there's too many games like this to crown City already. They've still got a lot of hard work to do. But by the same token, Phil, there's been so many games like this where they've just come away as the winners, where probably haven't been the better side, but they take their chances. And they have got the rub of the green, and you do need the rub of the green to win titles. Chelsea had it for years. Chelsea had games where, as recently as Steve Blackstone scoring a brace against City, imagine to turn that around, and that gave the opportunity then for Chelsea to win the title. You do need the rub of the green to win the league. Chelsea haven't had that, as well as the performances have been lower this season, and City performances have been high, and they've had the rub of the green. The two things tend to go hand in hand. You create your own luck, but teams have had chances against City. They're not the best team defensively. They can be open in transition, and London City have absolutely exposed that today, but they haven't put the ball in the back of the net. Miedemar. Caroline now. Back to Viviana Miedemar. And on to the left-hand side. Hemp up against Yana Fernandez. Fernandez stands her up well. Ball in towards the back post from Hemp. Headed away by Corrales. Chance now for Caroline, which is blocked. And Rodar looks to knock it forwards. Goodwin battling away. Rose will get there though. Carries it forwards now, Jade Rose. And out of play. And that will be a corner. Great carry there into the penalty area from Jade Rose. And let's see it. Looks a little frustrated, or more frustrated than we've seen him look recently. Corner in towards the front post. And that, a poor delivery, comes to nothing. But yeah. So half an hour to go. The big question is, can London City take an opportunity? Can they create another big chance that they have been doing so well? Can they take one? Fernandes battling away with Hemp. Brings her down in there. It's clumsy, and that will be a City free kick. It's unnecessary as well from Fernandes. She didn't need to give that ball away. She didn't need to commit the foul. What's the United score? Asked Cadhay. It is still 1-1 in that game. Phil says, true, but Chelsea didn't have many open games when they gave control to the opposition. City play much riskier football. Oh, absolutely. City lean into it. Lean into that risk. But yeah. Ball down the right-hand side, and the referee there giving another free kick. And a fair one. That will be the first yellow card of the game for a London City player. That will be Poppy Pattinson picking up the caution. Yeah, Glertz here in conversation with Kirsten Kasperai. But yeah, Carolyn just looked to take her on. Pattinson just got caught, got done, and clipped the wide player. You've got to think changes will be coming soon for both teams. London City looking to add some cutting edge. Man City looking for some energy, really. And so it is Greenwood over this. And what can City make happen from this free kick? The ball swung high and headed away well by Kennedy. Here is Hemp. And Perez charges her down. Lovely turn from Hemp. Perez does well though. Carolyn drives it forwards. Miedemar now, great hold up. And she's forced back into Hasegawa. Miedemar. Hemp. Back to Miedemar, who gives it to Hasegawa, and now they're looking to penetrate again. City, Miedemar into Shaw, who's just pulled wide to receive. Driving inside now, and that's a poor shot from Khadija Shaw, unable to find the target. And just dragging it wide on her weak foot. But yeah, Kennedy just did enough there to make it difficult for her. Firing well wide of the mark. Flick on in there from Goodwin. Corrales makes the run beyond. Rose will get there and deals with her well. And now Knack. Back to Kasperai. Blinkilda Brown. Into Rose. Back to Kasperai. Has just dropped into this centre-back position, and Rose and her have exchanged roles for the moment. Knack. Back across to Rose. Here is Kasperai. Knack. Into Hasegawa. Wide now to Hemp. Ball in, blocked by Fernandes. And Sangare now looks to make it quickly in behind. But Knack wins the header. And it's back with Rose. Romain Johnson says, take off Shaw, she's no good again. I think there's ever been a moment where Khadija Shaw's no good. She has struggled though today, again. Big opportunities, going, begging, and a goal. Another goal in the game between Leicester City and West Ham. It's 2-0. West Ham. Wow. And how big that could be in their battle to survive. Put them level on points with Everton, sorry. Yeah, put them a point off Leicester City and only 8 points behind London City. There is still a huge gulf between the bottom 3 and the rest, or the bottom 4 and the rest, sorry. Kennedy. Oh, Knack, sorry. Wrong team. Here's Rose. Into Carolyn. Shakira Martinez, according to Phil, with that goal for West Ham. Put one back there by Aslani. Poor from Blinkilda Brown. Can she now use one of her teammates? Godfrey overlapping well. Finds her now. Breaking into the box. Freya Godfrey takes aim. What a hit from Freya Godfrey, and London City draw level. And you can't say that's anything less than they deserve. Fantastic move from London City. Blinkilda Brown caught high on the ball. And they break away brilliantly. Aslani there accused of handball. The referee waved it away, I think fairly. They broke quickly, shifted it to the right-hand side. Godfrey was direct, was purposeful, and she found the upright corner. The referee, yeah, no issue there with Aslani's interception. Godfrey takes on Greenwood. It's poor from Alex Greenwood. Too easy. And she hits it with this swerve that takes it away from the goalkeeper. And London City finds the leveller. Godfrey firing home emphatically. And that's a great strike from Freya Godfrey. London City 1, Man City 1. What a moment in this game. What a moment this could be in the context of both these side seasons. Can London City kick on from here? They've been the better side today. This is nothing less than they deserve. Can they kick on? Knack into Rose. Back to Jade Rose now from Kasparai. Rose goes into Knack again. He wants to play out to the left-hand side. Carries it forwards well. It's going to be forced back to Yamashita. There'll be an urgency about Man City. They won't want to let yesterday's result not be fully capitalised on. Shaw round the corner into Carolyn. Great hold up from Khadija Shaw. Who now needs support. Goes back into Hasegawa. Here's Rose. Hasegawa again. Back to Rose. Knack. And it's back across to Rose. Plays it forward. Great hold up in there from Carolyn. Shaw. Knocks it across into Viviana Miedemar. That's blocked well. And it's turned over, and here come London City. Aslani forced backwards. Comes off Hemp. And the referee doesn't think it has. And Aslani understandably frustrated by that. Knack into Rose. Kasparai. Sangare does well there to win it back. Or Gayoro, sorry, who was brought on. I forgot to mention that after the goal. Grace Gayoro on for London City. There was that controversial moment. Did it hit the hand of Aslani? It hits her side and then into the arm. It's a difficult one to call. Yeah, so Gayoro and Van der Donk as well. Good win. Sangare, wide to Fernandez. Back now to Sangare. It was Pattinson taken off, and it was Rodar. Corrales. Kennedy. To Gayoro. Back now to Sangare. A lead taken in the game between Aston Villa and Manchester United. Again, Manchester United scoreless with Sunderland set up by Melvin Mallard. So they lead that game by 2-1 now, Manchester United. Ball in from Corrales, headed away by Greenwood, and that's out now for a London City corner. What can they make happen? And City looking to make a change. It's going to be a debut for Sam Coffey. They want a bit of control in there. And this is a smart way of going about it. So Aslani over this. Can London City make something happen from this corner? Aslani. That's a poor delivery to the front post. It'll bounce through. Struck well, but into a crowd of bodies. Falls to Gayoro on the edge. Drives it wide to try and create the space. Now she needs support. It goes back. All the way to Yana Fernandez, who plays it into Aslani. Ball in. That's on top of Yamashita. Goodwin gets there. Yamashita brings her down. And that's a dubious one. I think it's been called as a foul on the keeper. I think that's lucky from Yamashita, because she just... Yeah, I guess maybe it is. She just... Goodwin leans into her a bit, but... It's a great delivery from Aslani. I think that should be a penalty, no. Yamashita just punches her in the face. Didn't make any contact with the ball. I think she's very lucky there, Ayaki Yamashita, that the referee decided that was a foul on Yamashita and not on Goodwin. And Manchester United, they took the lead a few moments ago. They've now extended that advantage. Jess Park finishing in the box, and that is 2-1 United. A change now for City. Sam Coffey on in place of Laura Blinkilder-Brown. Phil says Yamashita gets away with a lot. Zato says, how's that foul by Goodwin? And this says that's a pen for sure. Yeah, I mean, that one, I'm actually lost as to how they've not given it. Watching the replay back. She doesn't touch the ball. She punched her in the face. I thought that's a stonewall penalty. I didn't think we could punch people in the face anymore. But yeah. So says again, horrible double cell ref. Again, yeah, it's the same questions we have around officiating all the time in this league. I don't think Kirsty Dow was too bad yesterday, but there were a lot of weird decisions, I thought. And again, it's hard to say because, you know, I was not watching from the perspective of an analyst or a professional. I was watching as a fan. I'll watch the game back and I'll see if I still agree. But I thought there were a lot of weird decisions in that game from both directions. Goodwin. Burst past Rose. Rose gets back in there. Brilliant defending. And that's out for a goal kick. And that was really good from Rose. Nat got caught again in there. It's not been her day. And Rose did well to just deal with the threat of Goodwin, who's been excellent in this match. Ball long into Hemp, and that is above her. And so Fernandez will come and take the throw. Sangare. Now Elena Lette. Out to the left-hand side. Corrales comes inside with it dangerously. Gayoro now. Back into Kennedy. Lette. Now Kennedy. And unable to keep that in play. London City. So a throw in now, and Nikita Paris coming in to the fray. Freya Godfrey The goal scorer departs. And Paris on in her place. We'll take another look at that goal. Wonderfully struck by Godfrey Yamashita. Couldn't do much more about that one. And that gave London City the leveller. Can they kick on now? Can they find a winner, which you would say would be deserved on the merit of play? Coffey gets back in there and deals well. Here's Greenwood driving it forwards. Now back to Rose. Hemp won't get there. Headed away well by Fernandez, and that will bounce out of play. And a throw in now for Manchester City. Football Heritage has heard me. One rival slips, the other follows. Absolutely. Zittiz says, what's your opinion on VAR in the WSL host? I think it would be a fantastic thing to have eventually. I just don't know if VAR is the way to go necessarily. I think officiating just needs to be better in the sense that you train referees to a higher standard, in the sense that you give them more. I think like goal line technology is really important. But the biggest issue is, officials aren't at the standard they need to be, really. They're not trained to the same level as, say, the Premier League, so the men's equivalent. I know that's difficult to do, and the other difficulty is obviously we want to see female officials in the WSL. Of course, we want to see them given those opportunities, but the issue is that none of them that we don't really have enough female officials at the standard required. So what we've got at the moment is a lot of referees and assistant referees who aren't really good enough for the level of football that is being played, who are officiating at this standard. So it does make it quite. That's probably why we're seeing decisions that are so weird. But yeah. So I'd say that's more important than VAR at this stage. Aston Villa 1, Manchester United 4. They are absolutely flying now, and it's Hannah Lundqvist's first goal for the club in her first start for the club. Not a bad way to introduce yourself. I think Jess Park was the one that set it up. A goal and assist now for her today. Offside flag there up against Kirsten Kasperai. 10 minutes to go here. Can City or London City find a late winner? And it is with Corrales, and she's going to look to be quite direct. They're going to introduce some verticality now. Knack heading it away well. Tidy that from Viviana Miedemar, and she's beaten Sangare too easily. Khadija Shaw bearing in on goal, and that should have hit the target. It's not been her best performance, Khadija Shaw. She struggled to be involved in this second half at all. She missed some big opportunities in the first half, and that's a great chance to retake the lead for City, squandered by Shaw. Pass out to the left-hand side. Here is London City trying to come forwards. Danielle van der Donk being forced backwards, though. I have to say it's a weird sub for me. She hasn't played a lot of football this year. And you're introducing her into this environment in a position that's not really her natural position. And van der Donk able there to stop Rose. And across the grounds, not much in the way of goals other than Man United, who are running riot now. Corner now for City then, with 10 to play. Can they find a late winner? Ball from Greenwood in towards the back post. Head away well. And now Paris will look to break. Here comes City. It's a 3-on-1 chance, and Hasegawa is the one, so she wins the ball. It's Gayoro on the second ball now, though. Aslani wide. Hasegawa gets there. Ridiculously good is Yui Hasegawa. How on earth has she won a 1 versus 3? Decision making's got to be better. The pass has got to be better from Aslani, absolutely. But how has she managed to deal with that situation so calmly and thwart London City in such a promising position. Out now to the right-hand side, Kasparai. Now Hemp. Hemp delivers it in there, headed away well by Paris. And Aslan will beat Coffee to the ball. Knack, though, but gets there ahead of Goodwin. Hasegawa delivers it in. Shaw can't get there. Miedemar. Brilliant from Gaioro to win it back. Coffee strong on Gaioro. Here is Khadija Shaw. Good hold up. Tries to turn out to the left-hand side. Greenwood now will be forced backwards. Hasegawa. Coffee. Greenwood. Good tackle from Fernandez. Corner now to City. And that's a chance again for City. Though I actually feel corners are more threatening for London City. I know City have the height in there, but they've not really made it work today. And every time London City are just to break away. I mean, Man City here have got everyone in the box, apart from Yamashita, who's on the halfway line. Coffee delivery, not great. Cleared away, only as far as Hasegawa on the edge. Now Coffee. Into Kasparai, who tries to go back to Coffee. That, though, mishit, and it will be a goal kick. So, just over 5 minutes left in this contest. And London City are making a change to chase this game. Isabel Goodwin is withdrawn. Sani Franci on in her place. I'm a little surprised by that. I know Goodwin's missed a lot of chances today, but her movement's been really strong. She's been a presence in there. I've not seen much from Sani Franci in a London City shirt. Sangare, back to Lete. That's poor from Sangare, and that is a corner for Manchester City. Put Lete under a lot of pressure. Zit is asked, do you think Letitia is the best centre-back in the WSL? Yeah, I do. I don't think this has been her best season, but I do think she's the best centre-back in the WSL. Corner again for City, their 10th of the afternoon. Good ball in, headed away. It will drop for Hasegawa. Ball played through, chance now. There's a big mess at the back. They get off the line and City score. And London City are the architects of their own downfall once again. A brilliant performance. Stolen from them at the last. And with 5 minutes to go, City lead. That is so poor from London City. So poor. The corner comes in from Sam Coffey. It's a good ball. It gets headed away. Hasegawa puts it back wide to Miedemar. It goes into the area. Hemp in there. It's a mess of bodies. They claw it off the line and Shaw just pokes it home through the melee. And it's just all over the place. And Kennedy doesn't do enough on the line. And they are frustrated with themselves because City have been nowhere in this second half. And Khadija Shaw pokes home the easiest chance you'll have all season. Wow. That's the kind of fortune that title winners, I should say, get. A game where City have been second best. But they lead now by 2-1. Brilliant from Sangare there. Strong but fair on Hemp. And overhit is the pass to Paris. But yeah, it's another game where they're just London City. I mean, Kennedy's just passed it straight to Shaw. She might as well put on the Man City shirt. Lloyd says Godfrey was terrible until she scored, Bunny was awful until she put that away. Life as a forward is weird. I don't think either of those are true. I don't think Godfrey was poor at all. And I think Bunny's still been awful. Like, yeah, I know a lot of people, they'll change the rhetoric online, but she had a terrible game today, Khadija Shaw. I don't think being in the right place when Kennedy passed it to her and being able to score what was practically an open goal makes that any different. So he says that's where you clear those high and wide, not low and forward. She passed that directly to Shaw. Or just clear it. She's not done that. She just passed it straight to Shaw. There's zero justification for it. But again, what do you expect? Alana Kennedy's made so many mistakes over the years that are exactly like that, where there's sensible things to do, and for some reason it just all goes wrong. Well, there you go. And that pretty much wraps up the title, you would say. That gives City a 9-point advantage. Goal for Leicester, by the way, over Eder Maestre putting it in her own net. And that will give Leicester a lifeline if they could find a late leveller. 2-1 now in that match. Corner now for City. I haven't done the scoreboard. It's been a goal for a while. Thank you, Harry. I was too busy talking about the goal. But yeah. Sure. Runs out of play, and that will be another corner now. Now, he should just run this down, you'd think, in the corner, and Hemp does play it short. Here is short. Who can hold this all day, really. Francie tries to win it back. Hemp drags it off the pitch, tries to make it look like she was fouled. The referee has given a corner. That was like the only thing I didn't think that could possibly be. I don't know where we found 6 minutes from, but it does keep what has been an entertaining fixture alive for a little while longer. That was a referee there who didn't know whether to give a goal kick. She's given a free kick. That is an even worse decision, sorry. Because Hemp just threw herself on the floor. And she dragged it out of play. Hemp over this one then. They're actually going to put it in the box this time, Man City. Poor delivery from Hemp. Headed back out for a corner, though. And this will just kill a bit of time. But yeah. .5 minutes to go. City with this another corner. And Carolyn will now make the slow jog over. The referee. Carolyn is being subbed off. And she's trying to make it last as long as possible. The referee's smiling with Carolyn. Just book her. Carolyn is taking the piss here. And the referee is happy to escort her off the pitch with a laugh. It's weak officiating. It really is. That's killed 40 seconds in this game. Corner now. Lauren Hemp in towards the front post. Heads away well. And City more conservative in their approach to corners. Have a few players back now rather than zero. So throw in now for Manchester City as they just try and kill this game off. Bene flicks it on past Corrales. She'll get there to the corner, but she keeps it on only for London City. Corrales drives it forwards, takes it past one. Gaioro now loses out to Shaw. That's weak from Gaioro. And Shaw will take it to the corner. Manages to win a corner out of it. She kicks it into Daniela van der Donk. I don't think any of London City subs have helped them. Like, Van der Donk, she's run around a bit. I don't think she's given them more than what they had from Pattinson, though. And then having dropping Corrales deep has just absolutely killed her ability to impact this game. Gayoro's not been good enough again in midfield. And Paris and France have been fairly anonymous. I don't know why they take off Goodwin. I know Pattinson was a yellow card, so that probably impacted that. But yeah, that was... I just think the subs have made them weaker. Here is Viviana Miedemar. Nowhere for her to go. Aslani wins the ball back. Francie to Corrales, who will look to find Paris. Greenwood heads it away. Yana Fernandez jumping on the ball, though. Will be forced backwards. Perez. Sangare needs to be an urgency about London City now. Alana Kennedy. Corrales. Gayoro. Corrales. Across into Sangare. Ball in. Touchdown by Aslani. Cleared away by Hasegawa. Here's Corrales. Knocks it down the line. Now into Gayoro, who can't keep it in play. City goal kick with less than 2 minutes to go. I don't know why they keep cutting to this band London City have got. I don't know what the new trend is about having bands in women's football. Chants create atmosphere, not people with, what they're called, trombones. Or drummers, as we saw at Chelsea yesterday. And a late winner for Liverpool against Tottenham. Liverpool 1, Tottenham 0. What a moment. The team that hasn't won a game yet with a 94th minute winner. I'm not sure who scored it, but that is a huge goal. Incredible stuff. Wow. Tottenham slipping up in that match, and Liverpool, I mean, the stats have said they've been the better side throughout. And they get the 3 points they deserve, and that puts a lot of pressure on Everton. And it's Mia Enderby with the goal off the bench, and Liverpool scored again. It's 2-0 now. What's going on over there? I have no idea, but they're 2-0 up. Apparently. Tottenham completely fallen apart at the end of that match. Aslani down injured now. And this is a week where I thought, United have got a tough game with Villa. Arsenal could probably drop points to Chelsea. This is the chance Tottenham to get into the top 3, but they're the side that have lost out to everyone else. And Everton, I said on Friday night, them losing could be very problematic because it's not impossible to envision West Ham and Liverpool winning this weekend. And West Ham and Liverpool are both winning. Mia Enderby with a brace off the bench. 81st minute sub. And she's bagged a double. A player had one WSL goal before that game. And that only came a few matches ago. Her first ever WSL goal. Now has 2 in quick succession at the end of this one. Because I think it's to create noise for the televised games. England did it when they forced out the old fans who followed them through the bad times. Well, the entertainment in general at Stamford Bridge, I mean, the crowd in general yesterday was just terrible. So, I mean, we'll talk about it on tomorrow's show. But such a poor atmosphere at the game yesterday. Ben8 touches it on to Miedemar. Carrying it down the right-hand side. And Francie wins it back. Kasperite. Carries it to the corner, and that will likely be it, as we are a minute and a half over the allotted additional time now. City's time wasting has seen that happen. Referee happy to let this continue for a little while longer. Sangare. Fernandez. Plays it inside. Here's Van der Donk. Lifts it into the box. Headed on and headed out of play. That will be a goal kick, and that will have to be that, you'd assume. No one from City in a rush to collect the football. Yamashita will go and get it. So Yamashita now playing out. Just smashes it long. And that'll be the last action of this game. Far from their best performance this season for Manchester City, but they take the 3 points. An important 3 points in the context of this title race. They're now 9 points clear in the WSL. They've never had such a commanding lead. You can't imagine them letting it slip from here. And London City, their best performance of the season, they deserve something from today's game. Cruelly denied, really, by their own mistake. But Man City, they left it late, but they found a winner. And they get themselves over the line for another 3 points. An important win that could be. Because as you can only hear the Arsenal fans on TV, and that could be due to the away end getting the sound boost. There was nothing, I mean, to be fair, the only Chelsea fans that chanted were us. I'll be completely fair. The Matthew Harding, nothing. Absolutely nothing. We're in the shed lower next to the away fans. We tried to get Chelsea's chants going. There was more Arsenal fans, I think, in most of the stands from what we've heard. But yeah, there we go. Zeta says, with all the titles Chelsea have, why is their fan base more than Arsenal's? Time, really. You know, that Arsenal crowd's been going for years, but yeah, Chelsea just don't have that same local fans, and they just don't get it right on women's match days. I mean, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Everything was appalling in terms of how they tried to entertain the crowd. No Chelsea songs beforehand. They just played some absolute rubbish. Yeah, I was furious about that, as well as obviously everything else that panned out. Well, so thank you, Jack, and all your comments. It's been fun. Well, I'm glad you have enjoyed. We're back tomorrow for the weekend roundup. We'll be talking about Chelsea's capitulation. We'll be talking about how Man City left it late. We'll talk about Mia Enderby bagging a double. And we'll be talking about Brian Sorensen. Could he lose his job? That'll be on the docket tomorrow. And then Tuesday, join us for the transfer show. And sort of transfer show with only a week left of the window. We'll talk about all the deals, all the teams that need to make something happen in the last week of the window. And join us on Wednesday this week for the inaugural FIFA Women's Champions Cup. We're all going to put on a big smiley face and pretend we care. So join us for that one, because we all love very corporate competitions. That should be great fun. Yes, hopefully FIFA sponsor us in the meantime, so I can say we are, so I don't even have to pretend we're excited for it. Phil says, cheers, Jack. Thank you, Phil. Thanks all for hopping in. That, though, is everything. We'll be back for more tomorrow. We're back for more Tuesday, Wednesday. We're live all the time, basically. But that is everything from today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.